it's not just going to be 20 arrests. This is the opening salvo of an office that was just set up on July 1st.
The governor announced the first arrest of the new Office of Elections, Crimes and Security. Turned out to be 20 felons who were arrested for voting illegally.
All of them had committed murder or sex crimes, the kind of crimes that excluded them from regaining voting rights under that 2018 Voter Restoration Amendment. So how could they have voted in the first place? Neil Volz is Deputy Director of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. That's the group behind the passage of Amendment 4. Neil, I think the last time you were with us was right around when voters approved that 4 years ago, and boy, have things changed since then. But I guess the question to you, because you're so intimately involved in that amendment and the new laws around it, how could these 20 felons have even been registered to vote?
Well, I think that's a great question. And one, just thank you so much for shining a light on this issue, for having me on the show. I'm actually in Orlando at the FRC convening. We've got hundreds of returning citizens, those of us with past convictions, celebrating democracy as we speak. And you bring up a really good point, because I think this is a moment that's actually bigger than any election, bigger than any particular campaign. This is about our republic. This is about our democracy and how it works. And we see that the system is broken based on the very question that you asked. We know that the challenge is on the front end of the process. People are getting voter eligibility cards. They're getting their voter ID cards. And when the government is giving people their ID cards, it gives them a suggestion that they are in fact eligible. What else would you think in that moment? And so our hope in this moment is to say the same thing now that we were saying in 2019, 2020, 2021, and that is that voter integrity starts at the front end of the process, and that none of these people should have been arrested in the first place if the system worked the way we all want it to work.
Yeah.
And so we're grateful for the opportunity to focus our efforts and challenge the government to spend as much time, as many resources trying to fix the front end of the problem, rather than spending taxpayer dollars and taking law enforcement's time and the court's time arresting Florida citizens.
Yeah.
Think about where we are. I'm a patriot. I'm a 20+ year conservative activist in addition to being a returning citizen. And here in our state, we had people with a SWAT team arresting folks for voting. Florida citizens being arrested for voting.
Yeah.
We can do better, and that's our hope, is to take this to a different level, keep it out of the partisanship and the politics, and say that this is about our democracy, this is about our republic,
Neil,
and we can fix it on the front end.
If I can jump in, forgive me. There's been a lot of good reporting by journalists around the state since the governor announced the arrest of these 20 ex-felons. And in almost every case that I have seen, including a gentleman in Miami-Dade County by the name of Hart, who told the story that he was going to apply for a driver's license and that a voter registration person had set up next to or had an office there, and that he offered him, the right to vote. And the man who offered him the right to vote was wrong, because Mr. Hart had been convicted of a serious felony that excluded him, but there was no intent to defraud. And that appears to be the case for most of these 20 people. They didn't intend to break the law. They were just given voter registration cards or thought that they had the right to vote. Is that right?
That's right. I think if you read some of these affidavits, you see human beings, our fellow citizens, talking about how they were just yearning to vote. They hadn't voted before. It made them feel like a citizen in their community again, and that they thought they could do this. And it was a wonderful, sacred thing that they were joining in. And to your point, if you can't trust the government to verify eligibility for voting, who can you trust? So when we have people, leaning onto the government to guide them and walk them through this process, and then years later finding themselves in a situation in which they're being arrested, we just know that that's the representation of a system that doesn't work as well as it should. And it should touch all of our hearts, because I know people from all walks of life. The beauty of Amendment 4 was we brought people together from all walks of life. And we know that people who are being arrested right now are coming from all walks of life, all political persuasions. And the folks who want to help are all also coming from all walks of life and all political persuasions, because this is deeper than politics and kind of the moment.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of what you speak to is Amendment 4 and its rules and regulations is still really fairly new. And the governor-backed Office of Election Integrity and Election Crimes is very, very new, not even 2 months old. But does this speak somehow to voters and people who want to be voters really need to take a little bit of responsibility and know this stuff?
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing is that, is a situation in which all law enforcement across the state, you talk to any professional law enforcement, they will tell you the best way to fight crime is to stop it from happening in the first place, right? And so we go back to the basics here, that the government is responsible for voter eligibility. We all want voter integrity. It starts on that front end of the process. I think about as somebody with a conviction, if I were to register to get SNAP benefits, quickly they could tell me whether I'm eligible or not. If you had a 14-year-old go into that same DMV that we were just talking about, the system would be set up to say, you know what, you're not eligible. Well, we have a situation now where people were told, according to them, the way they interpreted it, based on the affidavits and the reporting, that they were told by the government that they could vote.
I'm sorry, if I can jump in here. I interviewed you a couple of weeks ago after the governor made this announcement about the 20 arrests. And part of the problem, or a main part of the problem, is that there is no state database. The election supervisors submit the names of people who apply to be voters. They go up to Tallahassee, and it's not as if Tallahassee has a correct list of who can or who cannot vote or who should be excluded. So why isn't a database created?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. It sounds like the same, we've been trying to beat this drum for years to focus on exactly what you're talking about. Other states have a statewide database in which people with past convictions, go through that statewide database and they're told on the front end before they get their voter ID that they're eligible. I really think that if we can all get behind that vision, that this is a problem that we can solve, it requires the political will to do it. It requires prioritizing and getting together and having a conversation. But ultimately, you're right. This is an information management issue that now we failed in that end, and people's lives are being disrupted. And we're seeing things happen in our state that just is unsettling to people, no matter what their political persuasion. We're getting phone calls and emails from people from all over the state who are very alarmed by what's going on. And we want to be an organization and a movement that allows our experiences to remind us that we know how we can fix this. And you just asked that right question. It's on the front end. Voter integrity starts on the front end of the process.
I think that's going to be the final word, and a good one on which to end. Neil Volz, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Neil.